I said the same thing you did.
You know what I worry about? The day I start watching Matlock.
Oh,
when somebody would take me out back and
if
put a bullet in the back of my
be
head.
Shot. I know.
I do that.
A couple minutes.
I can't.
When my mother passed away, I inherited her VHS tape collection, and I ran it here at the store. There was so goddamn much Matlock on there, it wasn't even funny. But I ran all of them, and I watched all of them, just because I wanted to see what type of stuff she was recording.
Yeah.
Jesus, God in heaven, this is miserable. I don't ever want to see Matlock and Diagnosis Murder with Dick Van Dyke.
See, I never watched any of those.
Either one of those things. If I start watching those on a regular basis, just take me out back and shoot me.
I'm an old man. I hate everything but Matlock. Ooh, it's on now.
Oh, you should put that speech on tape.
Hello, Chicago. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Gotta drink to that.
Welcome to Alternate Reality.
Yes.
He had the pulse of America.
A Quinn Martin production. Tonight starring Leslie Nielsen, Ann Archer, Scott Baio, Scott Baio.
Special guest, Roderick Crawford.
Tonight's episode, Death on the Streets.
Oh, man. Did he fall far from grace?
That's not tonight's episode, though, folks. Hey, folks, welcome to the Alternate Realities. Comic Book Man here. And I'm being joined once again by the one, the only Music Man himself, Rod Flash. Hey, Rod.
Hello, I have my tuba.
He's your tuba.
You have a tuba?
Yes, I have a tuba.
Play us in and out of news sections. Yeah, there you go. And, of course, we're also being joined by the man in the know, the man who knows everything, the walking, talking encyclopedia.
Compendium.
The compendium of pointless knowledge. Bocepheus.
How you doing, kids?
And like I said, this is the Alternate Reality. Of course, we're coming to you from Alternate Reality, the comic book store located at the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood. Alternate Reality, where all new comics are always 15% off every day for everyone. This is going to be an all-news update. No death in the streets on this one, folks. And as always, we are updating 3 most important topics in the world.
Yes.
Comic books, wrestling, media. Maybe not necessarily in that order, but we're going to lead off with comics.
Well, wait.
Let's
all have a moment of silence for Jadis and the Garbage People.
Jadis and the Garbage People? What's that?
You didn't watch Walking Dead yet?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, God.
Spoilers!
Oh, God! You're missing something big.
Oh, let me guess.
Yeah.
They knocked everything down with a snowplow.
No. No. Let's just say one faction is no longer around at the end of this episode.
Oh, good for them.
Taking out quick.
And the methodology was quite unique.
Is this the order you want to go in? Comic media at WWE?
Yeah.
Because JR isn't here, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start with indie comic news. Black Crown's new titles. If you're not aware of it, IDW has an imprint. It's essentially their Vertigo imprint.
Yeah.
But they have an imprint called Black Crown, which is a creator-owned?
Technically, it's a creator-owned, but it's run by Shelley Bond, who used to work at Vertigo.
Okay.
And they're all these unique arty books.
It's their Vertigo line.
It's their Vertigo line, because she used to run Vertigo, so this is her line.
Okay, and right now they're publishing Punks and Assassinistas.
And Kid
Lobotomy. And I think there's one other one.
There's a quarter. There's also Black Crown Quarterly.
Yeah, Black Crown Quarterly.
Because apparently this all happens around a bar.
What, Black Crown Quarterly?
Yeah.
Well, it's probably a bar where they all meet.
Yeah, they all hang out at this bar.
So they talk about stuff that's coming. Yeah. What, do Assassinistas roll into the bar and Kid Lobotomy rolls into the bar? I'm assuming. They all sit around and shoot the bull?
There are also some smaller stories in this thing, but yeah, it's kind of weird. I pick up Assassinistas and Kid Lobotomy. I don't care for the quarterly book.
Well, Assassinistas, that's the Hernandez brothers.
It's the Hernandez brothers.
Kid Lobotomy
is Peter Milligan.
Pete Milligan, who did a ton of Vertigo stuff back in the 90s and
Shade the Changing Man.
Early 2000s. Yeah, right. Yeah, he cut his teeth on. He's a British writer who came in with the British invasion, but he cut his teeth on Shade the Changing Man back in the 80s.
Still reverberates today.
Anyway, they're adding a new book.
Two books.
Two books. I'm sorry, two books. And what are they?
Euthynous
Euthanists.
Yeah, people are going to go, I'd like a copy of Euthanists, please.
Yeah.
It's basically from Tini Howard, who writes Assassinations, and Nick Robles about life after death, and House of Muck, which is a limited series by Christopher Sabella, who we talked about in our last show because he's got an image book coming out. And Sean McManus, who hasn't worked in a while, and it's a horror road trip. Yes, so that means the art will be good. And actually, Sabella's a pretty good writer, so I'd probably pick that up. Like I said, I picked up most of the stuff. I don't care about the quarterly book, and I don't care about Punks. But the other books from Black Crown are pretty interesting.
Well, if the quarterly books have stories, you probably ought to pick one up to take a look at. Did you pick up the first one?
No.
Why not?
$4.99. I didn't feel like about.
Well, it's magazine size.
Yeah, it's
magazine size. It's like Higher House came out this week. That's also magazine size.
Yeah, I saw that thing. It's really huge.
That's also from IDW. It's not part of the Black Crown line. IDW's doing it, but yeah, it was $4.99 too. It's magazine size.
Yeah, that's all the indie news because there's really no indie news going on. Things have been kind of quiet.
Well, let's talk a little bit about something we chatted about earlier.
Oh yeah,
there's a rumor going around that IDW may be going belly up.
You said I didn't hear that rumor. All I heard was that someone who worked for a while left the company.
Yeah.
I wouldn't at all be shocked if it happened. It's got its niche. It's a small audience. It's never going to be a big deal publisher. This stuff's licensing stuff.
Well, we chatted online. You mistook Boom for IDW.
Yeah, because I'm talking about the Mark Waid thing.
But yeah, the point I'm getting at though is not that you made a mistake.
Yeah.
The point is, Boom and IDW actually are pretty close to one another in
They're
terms
a flip side of the same company.
Of what they do. Yeah. Now, IDW is much heavier on licensed products, and I think that's primarily because Boom just either hasn't had access to them or is unable to get them. But IDW is much heavier on the licensed product than Boom is. Well, Transformers, Star Trek, Mask, G.I. Joe.
All the Hasbro stuff.
Yeah, Hasbro stuff. Ghostbusters. And I think that Boom would if IDW went away and Boom had the resources, I think they would happily pick up all those books and publish them because they do stuff like Kong.
Yeah.
And they did have Clive Barker, the Nightbreed stuff, which I think they may still have.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
Yeah,
every great once in a while, they still put something out from them, like a trade paperback or something. So I think they might still have access to
It's a gift
to
that keeps on giving.
Oh. Yes, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, Clive Barker, who the hell is that? But people go, oh yeah, when he was around and he was big, oh yeah, Clive Barker. Now people go, who?
But really? His name, he's not as big as
he hasn't written a book in a while. It's been a long while since you've seen a Clive Barker novel out there. He hasn't written much.
Maybe he's enjoying his royalties.
Yeah, he's got a lot of it. Oh. And they keep talking about making more Pinhead movies, so he's living off of movie money too. He is active on Twitter.
But getting back to Boom, Boom does a lot more in the way of original material than IDW does, although IDW does do original material, like October Faction. Yeah. I think that's original. It's not an adaptation.
Yeah, it's original.
That's Steve Niles' book.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, Steve Niles does most of his work at IDW still.
Basically, the company exists to keep Steve Niles in beer and Skittles.
Well, no, there's other stuff. There's Hero something or other. I forget what the name of it is. They also do, right now, IDW is doing all the 2000 AD stuff.
Yeah.
Which they don't do much of because that stuff never sold in the first place.
And their big thing is the artist editions.
Yeah.
And that may be the only thing that keeps them going around, those artist editions.
Those artist editions, I don't really carry them at the store, but I've had one or two of them come through the store for people who order, and those are really nice books. I mean, I'd love to carry them, but the market just isn't down here on the south side.
$75, $60.
Oh no, they're like
$120.
No, they're
$150. Yeah, people are going to walk in and pick up 150 books.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's kind of big. I mean, it's the actual pages.
Well, what they are the original bristleboard pages, that size, okay, and they're just reprinting the bristleboard pages. Yeah. So it's the original size of the original art, with all the whatever markings were on there and all whatever corrections were on
coffee
there.
Stands.
Yeah, coffee. No, everything. Coffee stands, everything.
Yeah.
It's the original art. That's why it's the artist edition book.
What's interesting is that all those books have stuff from people who do not work at IDW.
No,
those are all DC and Marvel things.
They've done Simonson. They've done Kirby. No, they've done Kirby's Thor.
Yeah.
Or Simonson's Thor. I'm sorry, Simonson's Thor. They've also done Kirby's Thor. I think. And they've done other stuff too. Actually,
Fantastic
I'm not sure
Four, a bunch of them.
I'm not sure if they've ever done any DCs.
They might have. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. If they were going to do that, maybe it would be some Neil Adams stuff. I don't think they've done a lot of DC stuff. It's all been Marvel stuff.
Now, you know what else IDW does? They do a lot of comic strip collections.
Yeah.
They did the Peanuts collection. They did Dick Tracy collection, Terry and the Pirates, and a bunch of other comic strips. And they do them in really nice hardbound, half normal trade paperback size collections, and they're really good books. They're just too expensive for this market down here, and there's just not enough interest in this market down here.
It's basically for the bookstore market, and that will be the one thing that keeps IDW around, because who else is going to do that stuff?
Well, the reason I brought up them possibly going under, they're at 7% of the market. They've always been between 5 and 7% of the market, and the story I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to pass it along anyway, because it gives us something to talk about. The story I heard was that the president of the company has been pumping his own money back into the company because the company's not making any money. And and on the retail end of things, the one thing that if folks at home who are listening don't realize is for years IDW's had this returnable policy where if I order, say, 10 copies or more of a first issue, they're all returnable. Mm-hmm. And then when the second issue comes out, let's say I order 10. The second issue comes out, says if your order equals your first issue numbers, these will be returnable. And the third issue, if your numbers equal number 2's, which was number 1's, these are all returnable. Of course, the problem with that is any new series, it's always diminishing returns. If I actually do sell 10 copies of the first issue, I will not be selling 10 copies of the second issue. It just doesn't work that way. Now, those are returnable, but at some point you get to the point where I might sell 10 copies of the first issue, and by issue 5 or 6, I'm down to 3 copies. So I'm giving them a 7 copy loan for however long until I get my money back on those. And you start multiplying that by 7, 8, 10, 12 titles, which they used to do on a regular basis in the previous catalog. It starts turning into some real money. But the flip side of that is I've always got them in stock if I'm taking part in that. Now, the trick I always used to do was I'd order X amount of number 1, and I'd order the same amount of number 2, and by then I'd have my numbers on 1. And what I'd do is I'd cut my 3 order down to whatever my 1 was, which wouldn't make it returnable. And then by the time 4 came around, I'd have some idea what my numbers were on that, and it'd either be I cut it more or I add to it. And of course, by that point, my 3 numbers are down lower, because it's always a matter of match your previous number. Yeah. Whatever your previous numbers, match it. Well, by 3, if I cut that number down to say 7 or 6 or 5, but I'm start selling out of the book, well, if I bump it up to 6, that issue then automatically becomes returnable.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Except for them.
Plus 1 in 10 variants. Well, no, the reason they do it is they want to be able to get the books in people's hands. Mm-hmm. And they know comic book stores are going to order conservative or not at all on this stuff. So they're saying, look, if you order up on this book and you takes a bath, you can strip the cover, send it back. We'll give you a refund on any unsold covers, and that way you're not out any money. And DC did that with New 52.
Yeah.
And with Rebirth.
Yeah.
First 12 issues of New 52 were like that. The first 6 issues of Rebirth were like that. So you had dealers ordering up a lot of those issues, and then we're doing a lot of strip covering. Send this crap back. When the window opens up, says, okay, send back number 3 of this book. Okay, here we go. And every once in a while, people come and go, why are you destroying those books? Because I'm getting my money back.
Yeah, I'm getting my money back for the books that you didn't buy.
Well, at which point I go, do you want to buy one of these? Because in about 10 seconds, I'm going to rip the cover off this thing. Right. So you're coming down to like right now.
You want the cover? Here I am, my hand. Look, I got the book in my hand.
At which point they always go, oh, well, no, I just want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, okay.
Rodney, you pick up any IDWs?
Not really.
No?
Not
I
really.
used to pick up more. I basically dropped it because I'm like, it's sort of interesting.
The only one that I did pick up, Rom the Space Knight and Micronauts. Yeah. But now
that's all that Toy Box Hero stuff.
Yeah, but now they doing this whole crossover thing with Transformers, Mask and stuff, and I'm going, okay, this is a little bit too much. I don't particularly care about Transformers. Because Rom is in, I'm going to start picking up Transformers.
Because you love Rom, and you're helping them, and you're helping Bill Mantlo have money.
Rom, Micronauts, Mask. Mask was at DC, but the other two were at Marvel. G.I. Joe, of course, Transformers. All those books, once upon a time, they were Marvel mainstays in the 80s.
Yeah, especially the G.I. Joes.
And if they fold up, guess where they'll end back up? Back over at Marvel.
Well, maybe yes or no. It depends on what sort of deal that Boom can give them. You're assuming that Marvel might want those books back, too.
They got Conan back.
Yeah, I still never found out why it is they wanted Conan back in the first place. I mean, there's nothing going on with Conan that I'm aware of in the future that would make them want that back. Anyway, moving on. DC News. As regular listeners might know, every week we do the Brian Bendis update.
Because it's always he's the gift that keeps on giving.
It went from him being sick to him getting better, to him leaving for DC, to him working on Superman, to here's what he's doing on Superman, to this week, jinxworld.
Jinxworld books. All the jinxworld books moved over to DC. But this week they announced two brand new jinxworld books. He and Michael Gaddis are doing Pearl, which is Romeo and Juliet in the Yakuza world. Modern day San Francisco story. He and David Mack are doing Cover about a comic creator turned into a spy.
Comic creator turned into a spy.
Yes. Recruited and also Michael Evan Emming announced that Powers, which always continued to miss its shipping date. It will now be a series of graphic novels, which means it won't miss its shipping dates because you won't see them until they're all out there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, won't miss a shipping date because they won't bother.
They won't come out.
You know
how many times I came up to Tim and say, did Powers come out? No, it's been out.
Apparently, a bunch of these stories are already done. They've been sitting there in a warehouse. I don't know what they were waiting on.
Well, why it takes so long for them to come out?
And that's the question everyone keeps asking. What were you working on?
When it was Icon over at Marvel, because Icon was publishing all those, which I don't even know. You might want to look into it some days. The Icon line still even exists.
I don't think the Icon lines exist anymore.
Okay, the Icon line's gone the way of Paradox Press.
Yeah,
over at DC.
Hey, I remember Paradox Press.
But
Piranha Press. I remember that one.
Piranha Press too. Paradox was their. Helix was their science fiction line. Paradox was little graphic novel,
mini graphic novel,
trade paperback line. Those books were always late. Anything that was coming from that press was always late. You could always count on it.
And Powers is one of those books. He would go, "Oh yeah, we're working on it, but we're sorry. We're really sorry we haven't seen it." And we go, "Okay." 6 months later, "Yeah, we're working on it. We're really sorry you haven't seen it." And at this point, you go, who cares?
Yeah, that's the thing that I've always talked about. Creators past a certain point, everybody moves on, nobody cares anymore, so don't bother publishing it.
Right.
Give up on it.
If you wait that long, it's like, what the hell?
That's exactly how it felt with Powers.
Oh, that book exists? Oh, I forgot.
That's exactly the same thing we've talked about Image before in the past. Yeah, when Image was screwing around and not getting the books out, well, nobody cares anymore. It's not like they were that good to begin with.
If you can't get the books out in time, where the hell should we care?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mentioned a bunch of DC's lines before.
Yes.
You got to give DC credit. They're always putting together new lines to try to appeal to new readers. One of them is the upcoming Sandman line.
Good time. I'm predicting right now it's going to last 12 issues. All these books are going to go 12 issues.
What? 12 and that's it?
You cannot do a Sandman universe line if Neil Gaiman's not writing any of the damn books. And he's not writing any of them. 4 books. Dreaming's coming back, Lucifer, Books of Magic, and a new book called The House of Whispers, which is House of Secrets. Neil Gaiman is only working on this one-shot Sandman universe. He's not writing any of them. I'm sorry.
This is pigeonholed off of the DC Metal Sandman appearance.
Yes, Sandman's in DC Metal, and that's fine. But if you're going to do this, if you can't get Gaiman to write at least one of them,
well, he's writing a one shot. You said.
Yeah, it's a short story in a one shot. So basically, he's going to do 12-issue story, and then we're supposed to care.
Well, I assume that the Sandman line that they're doing, the Neil Gaiman Sandman line, which will not have Neil Gaiman in it, but
no,
I'm sure it'll be called the Neil Gaiman Sandman line because
no, it'll be a Neil Gaiman. Presents the Sandman line.
Yes, Neil Gaiman presents. Like Stan Lee presents.
Right.
Well, then it won't matter because everyone will think Gaiman's writing it anyway.
Right. Then they'll go, wait a minute. I don't see Gaiman's name.
That's all people said in the 80s. Stan Lee presents at the top of every Marvel book. Hey, he wrote this one. Great. Okay. He's still writing books. That's good to know.
Yeah, his man his age still writing books. That's amazing.
Well, I would assume that this all has something to do with them getting a hold of Gaiman and saying, look, we've got these characters. You're not making anything off them. We're not making anything off them. We need to do something with them. Why don't you let us take them and run with them?
We got this Lucifer show running on Fox, and there's no comic really going along with it.
Well, they had one.
Well, they had
there
one.
was a Lucifer comic that was coming out while the show was on.
Yeah. The show's still on.
Well, no, the show's still on, but the comic
sort of went away.
Yeah, the comic ran 12 or 16 issues.
Yeah, it didn't last long. But yeah, I'm predicting a year.
Well, Lucifer never sold worth a damn in its first run from Vertigo.
Lucifer would sell, 5 to 7 to 10 copies a month?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. It never sold worth a damn.
It was a great book.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with the book.
There's nothing wrong with the book, but it was Mike Carey was writing it, I believe, for a long time.
There are lots of books with low print runs that are good books, and people just don't buy them.
Yeah, they don't still buy them.
Also, speaking of new lines from DC,
another new line from DC.
There's another new line. Bo.
Oh, yes.
Boy.
Hey, Mabel, get me a Black Label.
I was talking to Jim about this. So,
my God.
Mabel, Black Label.
Why would you name a comic line after booze?
I'll tell you exactly why.
That's what people thought about it.
I'll tell you exactly why. First thing I thought of when I saw, and this gets into a Rorschach test. What's the first thing you think of when you hear the word Black Label outside of the beer? Mm-hmm. Oh, Black Crown.
Yeah.
Another liquor.
Yeah.
which is oddly
Another liquor,
incestuous.
yeah.
Oddly incestuous. It's a Black Crown line, like we just talked about.
Yeah.
Is a Vertigo line.
Yeah, it's a Vertigo line.
So this is a Vertigo line. It's not a Vertigo line.
Someone said it's called Black Label, but there's no black characters in it. So people go,
well, it's not supposed to be a black line.
no, it's not. No, it's just
It's just a name. It's supposed to take the DC heroes. It's basically a big Elseworlds thing.
Well, no, they don't want you to think it's an Elseworlds.
Well, that's nice.
Even though we know it's an Elseworlds.
Okay, which Earth does this one take place on?
It's
the same idea.
It's a mature telling.
Okay.
Using classic Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
On which Earth?
The Earth that they don't know anything about.
It'll be a different Earth for a different series, but I mean, at some point, will just mainstream this into the 52 Earths.
It's got to be one of the 52. Well, there's a bunch of Earths we don't know anything.
Well, half of them they didn't label on
Grant Morrison. Yeah, Grant Morrison left about a couple of them that had no name.
Yeah, multiversity.
Well,
yeah,
no, they left a bunch of them empty just for that reason.
Yeah, just to fill in the spot.
Well, no, future expansion. Okay, over at Marvel, we've talked.
You should tell people what the books are.
Well, I thought you did. Oh, no, you didn't do that. I'm sorry. I thought you did do that. No. I'm sorry.
No. Oh, the first book we already knew about. Frank Miller and John Romita Jr.'s Superman Year One, which is now a 3-issue limited series and not a hardcore graphic novel. John Ridley's The Other History of the DC Universe, which is about minority characters.
Okay.
In the DC Universe, no artist named. Wonder Woman Historia, the Amazons from Kelly Sue DeConnick. Yes, sex criminals. Kelly Sue DeConnick, her first work at DC since 2011.
Bitch Planet.
And Bitch Planet, drawn by Phil Jimenez. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Batman Last Night on Earth, which was supposed to have been Sean Murphy, who couldn't work on it. But Sean Murphy said, when you see Batman Dark White Knight #2, it's probably going to be from this line. Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo's Batman Damned.
Batman's Damned.
Batman Damned. And Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman Diana's Daughter, with another book with no artist. So those are the first ones.
Well, they just announced the line this week, so I mean, I'm sure that they're still lining stuff up.
Well, yeah, because somebody asked Murphy, weren't you supposed to be doing this thing with Snyder? He went, yeah, I was supposed to, but I'm working on my thing. Yeah. And so when I do the sequel, it'll probably be under the line. He said, I basically started the line, even though they didn't officially name what the line was yet.
It's named after liquor now.
Yes, it's named after booze.
It's named after. They still don't make Black Label anymore, do they? That's like Pabst. That's an out of print
Black
line.
Label's a liquor line. They still
does it still exist?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They should do a tie-in.
Okay.
Buy this comic.
Get some booze.
Have some booze.
Well, that's not a bad idea because we talked in a previous news about Marvel's fresh dryer sheets, where you just rip the pages out of the book and throw them in your dryer, and these sheets smell Hulk fresh.
They're marbly fresh.
My pillowcases smell Spider-Man fresh.
Oh my gosh!
How is the fresh line doing over at Marvel?
They're adding more and more books as we speak.
I bet they are. CB Cebulski's getting serious.
Yes. Yes. Well, actually, there's something missing up this. Before we get to fresh start, I forgot something. Jonathan Hickman is coming back to Marvel.
Oh, good for him.
Because DC screwed the pooch.
What'd they do?
Because Doomsday Clock went and turned into a bi-monthly book.
Okay.
His Legion book couldn't happen till next summer.
After the...
Hickman went, I don't want to wait that long to do this book. And C.B. Cebulski said, well, you can come back to where we were. I'll give you a nice amount of money. I'll give you creative control. And we've always heard these rumors about the Fantastic Four coming back.
Bingo.
Who would be the perfect guy to work on the Fantastic Four? He ended the Fantastic Four. He could be the one bringing the Fantastic Four back.
Well,
there you go.
I thought they're coming back faster than this.
There's a lot of Fantastic Four trades coming out in May and June. They've already made their announcements for the July Fresh Start book, so it could be August, September, whatever. But Hickman was ready. He was ready to work at DC. He was set.
But they made the freaking idea to put that book out bi-monthly.
Yeah, because if they haven't learned from anything. Remember Midnight Nation? Gary Frank drew Midnight Nation. Remember how many times Midnight Nation blew their deadlines? You should have this. You should have 6 issues done before you solicit the damn thing.
Well, that's any company.
Yeah. So get 6 issues in the can, then you can do it.
Yeah.
Instead, you got 4 issues out and go, we're having trouble meeting the deadlines. Okay, well, maybe you should have thought about that before you released it.
Well, once upon a time, Doomsday Clock was a monthly, and it ain't no more.
Yeah, like I said, yes. Now, it was a monthly for 4 issues. And then we can go to Fresh Start. The new books we've announced is Life of Captain Marvel by Margaret Stoll and Carlos Pacheco.
Okay.
Doctor Strange by Mark Waid and Jesus Sayes. Doctor Strange in Space.
In space. Yes, I read that.
The Immortal Hulk from Al Ewing and Jill Bennett.
Sure, why
Can't be
not?
killed.
You know what, and this will bring a whole new line of characters with the word immortal in front of them now.
Actually, this book, the Immortal Hulk, will be more of a horror-based Hulk book. Remember when the first Hulk first popped up?
Supposed to be a horror character.
He only came out at night.
Right.
We're going back to him only being available at night. You could kill Bruce Banner in the daytime, and when the sun went down, the Hulk comes back out.
I like that.
Captain America, finally official. Lin-O Francis Wu is drawing it. The first issue ships on the 4th of July.
God bless
Seriously.
America. God
Seriously,
bless America.
The 4th of July.
You know what the problem is with that?
Yeah.
Is that a Wednesday this year?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
So I have to be open New Comic Wednesday on the 4th of July. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Thor by Jason Aaron and Mike Del Mundo. He's taking over the artist, the people who worked on Weird World. Dan Slott's Tony Stark book, Tony Stark Iron Man with Val Shalitti. It'll take place in continuity, multiple armors, and Tony will be adjusting the fact that he used to be dead. So it'll be a little weird. The Sentry.
Yeah, I saw he's coming back.
Jeff Lemire and Kim Jacinto. So Jeff Lemire is a guy. He's working at DC, Marvel, Valiant, and Image.
Right.
He's working at 4 companies at the same damn time.
And he started at DC.
He started at DC.
After he came out of the Indies.
Yeah.
Which I think was
Sweet Tooth or something like that. It was an indie book that he was self-published.
Sweet Tooth was Vertigo. I think he was working out of IDW. IDW bought them. I can't remember the name of the line now. It's that small indie one that publishes Drawn Quarterly.
Yeah.
He's working at Drawn Quarterly.
That's where he started.
Yeah.
He's writing and drawing his own stuff. So yeah, he's working for 4 companies at the same time. It's kind of weird. Deadpool, Scotty Young, and Nick Klein. Nick Klein has never worked at Marvel before. He's got a really interesting art style, so it makes you looking forward to that. Multiple Man by Matthew Rosenberg and Andy McDonald. Remember when Peter David was working on Multiple Man, the whole idea of all his identities basically had different ideas and different mentalities.
Multiplicity.
In this book, apparently one of those characters will be killed, and so we'll be trying to figure it out. And it Amazing Special, Amazing Spider-Man.
Didn't Peter David do that already? One of his characters, one of his personalities gets killed. One of his bodies gets killed. That was the whole point behind the detective agency originally.
Yeah, and so they're going back to that, and they finally made it official. The Ryan Otley and Nick Spencer doing Amazing Spider-Man.
I don't know about Otley's artwork on Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, Otley's smart. No, he would be perfect.
He's worked on Spider-Man before. It's just that it looks really creepy.
Yeah. And Invincible. That was a Spider-Man. Basically, that was Spider-Man. It was Spider-Man in space. Yeah. So that's gonna be interesting.
Well, the Invincible God, he's got time now.
So they're basically trying to make Spider-Man more spider-like as opposed to when he was muscular back in the.
But he might wind up looking more like Ditko than anything else.
Actually, if you've seen the promo art for this thing, he's looking a lot like Ditko.
Yeah, of course that's going to depend on the inker, but
yeah, it's a major league inker. The guy's really good. But yeah, if you look at it, it looks a lot like Ditko. He's a little bigger than a Ditko Spider-Man, but you look at it, you go, man, it's like Ditko-like. It's fresh. It's fresh.
That's fresh.
Then Marvel's throwing out a lot of money. Because apparently there are a whole bunch of other big-name people who've been out there who haven't been there for a while. They're coming back, too.
Okay, that's it for comic book news. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with media news. Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Most people don't know this, but I got my start in comics retail on February 20th, 1978, when I became the store manager of the Comic Book Emporium. 16 years later, I opened Alternate Reality on August 20th, 1994. Like Superman's penchant for double L's, it seems the 20th has always been an important part of my life. I respect that heritage, which is why we have a Founders Day sale on the 20th of each month here at the store. Every 20th, stop by and you'll save 20% off all of your purchases all day long, only at Alternate Reality. And we're back. Bo?
Yeah.
What is going on with the Time Warner AT&T merger? It's been going on forever and a day.
Well,
is it ever going to happen? And there's a reason for this. You know, it's not. This isn't just stock market or financial news.
It's going through regulations and negotiations and moves and machinations. If this deal does not go through,
this is the reason why we're doing this story.
Time Warner is going to start selling off pieces of their company, and guess which piece is going first?
Are you sure it would go first? Because there is a buttload of properties tied up with DC. That are worth a lot of money.
But could you imagine?
I mean, the original sale with Marvel was $6 billion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back 10, 12 years ago now, I think it was, with Disney.
Was it that long ago?
You know, Marvel, DC has got to be, if that sale happened today, even without the movies, it would probably be $8 billion.
It would be $8 billion.
Okay, well, DC's got to be worth at least that much. It's Superman, Batman, for God's sake.
Yeah, so the
Batman in and of himself has got to be like a couple of billion.
So the question would be, well, who exactly would have the amount of money to pick all these characters up?
Well, who? Outside of the mouse.
The mouse would be the only company that had all that money.
I can see Mickey going, I got all the money and all the power.
You got two options. Well, the mouse, Universal, Comcast.
Do they have the money?
Yeah, they got the money.
Hell, they should. That damn cable bill of mine.
Well, they've done such a bang-up job with their monster universe. I can't wait for them to get a hold of DC.
You could say Fox. That's not owned. The part that's not owned by Disney.
I don't know. Fox is looking to unload all the stuff that they have right now.
So that would sort of leave one company, wouldn't it?
Fox is looking to unload and liquidate in order and just keep sports and news.
Yeah.
All the entertainment stuff is going. Why would they take on, DC Comics?
Then that limits it down to one big giant-ass company known as Disney.
The mouse roared.
So, yeah, they could pick them up.
Well, haven't the rules changed anyway, this being the 21st century?
The fact is, you're talking about comic things. I don't think the regulators look at that very seriously.
No, they don't, because as we've known from growing up, you had Marvel and you had DC.
Yeah.
Never betwixt the two shall meet.
Yeah.
Except in crossovers.
Except in crossovers.
Which are probably going to happen, man.
Yeah,
there are a lot of hits floating around about the Marvel DC
I
crossover.
did see.
Creators who are pushing that hard, and the relationship between two companies is completely different now.
I'm hearing a whole lot of stuff about Avengers and JLA.
You're going to be seeing some crossovers coming from these companies.
Well, there's one other thing involved with that, too, and that gets back to comic news. We should have talked about this in comic news, but there's one other thing going on. The industry's on its ass right now. And Marvel is leading the way on going down to crapper. DC is doing what they can, but all they got is Batman. All they've ever had is Batman. It's incumbent on both of them at this point. Neither one is kicking ass and taking names to maybe team up and get people interested in buying the books again. Not just Marvel's books, but DC's. DC would get something out of this. Marvel would get something out of this. It would help jack up both of their sales. And that would be a win-win as far as I'm concerned if they bury the hatchet and start doing that.
Well, no, you already had a wink-wink crossover already.
Yeah, I saw it.
Avengers for Prime, you have Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And in a recent issue of a DC book, Booster Gold references Jarvis.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're hinting around the edges of it, but, yeah, I think it's going to happen. There's going to be some crossover stuff coming.
Well, anything to save both companies, they have to do it.
Get people out and buy comics. I mean, that's what it's coming down to. Get people out the door and buy some comics.
Yeah.
And you know what? It is probably in these arguments I have with these goofy friends of mine who will say stuff like, oh, yeah, I saw Green Lantern when he was fighting the lizard. What? No. You're mixing the universes up. And they would say it back and forth.
Go back to Disney buying DC. That problem will be taken care of then because it'll be one big happy universe.
I know.
Yeah, Green Lantern can fight the lizard all he wants.
So, in other words, I'll be looking like the fool going, no, those are two different...
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Once upon a time, but not anymore. Not anymore. Hey, Bo, tell me a story about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is it going to get the mercy killing it so richly deserves this season?
Probably not.
I resent that.
He's never.
I resent that. I actually like it. Like it said,
this season has not been bad. It hasn't been great, but it's not bad.
I haven't watched the last 6 episodes, so I don't know exactly what's going on with Deke, who actually is one of my all-time favorite characters of the season. The writers of the show wrote the season finale as a series finale. ABC has not told them that the show is being canceled, but they said we're just covering our asses.
Right.
So if it does get picked up for another year, and since you've gotten to 100 and you got to the magic number, and the ratings are steady enough to keep the thing going, it's going to get another season.
A couple of years ago when the ratings were slipping on this thing, I thought that the word was from Disney, it doesn't really matter what the ratings are. We're going to keep it going because we want a Marvel presence on the network. If they do cancel it, what will be the Marvel presence on the network? And
that's the main reason why it wouldn't go anywhere. The John Ridley ABC superhero thing from Marvel, he's not close to that to being done yet. And Humans will probably be canceled.
Oh, I don't think you're ever going to see Inhumans.
Or completely retooled. But you know what'll save Inhumans? If it comes out in video and it makes a lot of money, that'll keep the thing going.
Or what they could do is the thing that Warner Brothers did with the Riverdale thing. First season, everybody looked at it and said, it's okay. Stuck it on Netflix. Yeah. People start binge watching. Now, you can't get enough of watching Riverdale.
Warner Brothers. You mean CW?
CW. My apologies.
I didn't watch Riverdale. I mean, the first season of Riverdale, I watched it on Netflix. I didn't watch it on the CW. I didn't watch it at all.
Okay, well, we watched it at home because of the little girl.
Yes.
And so we plowed through the whole first season when it first came out. You didn't. So you watched it on Netflix after the fact.
Yeah.
Well, how was it?
Interesting as hell. Weird. Quirky.
It's damn weird.
I noticed there's no daylight in Riverdale for some reason.
Why would there be?
No, it's cloudy.
Well, cloudy or nighttime.
That's it.
They're out during the day.
No, I know, but if
but
you
all
know,
the
it's
interesting crap happens when the sun
great.
goes down. Right.
It's like they slowly going into this almost dark Nancy Drew Hardy Boys type of thing, but it's like it's been cloudy for like the past 2 seasons.
It was planned at being the Archie universe in Twin Peaks. As the series continues, it gets more Twin Peakish.
How much of this season have you watched?
The last one I watched was when Archie and Lodge wrestled. That was the last episode I watched.
Okay, it gets even more.
And Betty talking to her half brother about
the creepy half brother,
the dark side within her.
Yeah. He's watching her doing everything.
Oh yeah,
popping up.
You get the creepy vibe.
Chick, her half brother, has shown up, and you have many creepy things coming up.
He's pretty creepy. Well, then again, he was introduced as an internet porn guy. So what the hell?
Yeah, my thing is, why haven't they put Reggie out there? They did a couple of things with him, and that was it.
Well, they recast Reggie this season, but they haven't done anything with him.
No.
He was a drug dealer in the first season. I was like, Reggie's a drug dealer?
He was an Asian drug dealer.
He was an Asian drug dealer. Now he's a Polynesian drug dealer. Well, it's the same thing with Dilton. Dilton popped up in the first season. He's popping in and out.
He hasn't been on the second season.
He's a drug runner.
No, he was on the second.
He was a drug runner.
He was on there. He was on like the first or second episode. Okay. He was on with the gun. He was the one that got Archie the gun.
Oh yeah. That's right, with the black hood.
Yeah, and they get the whole thing with Archie working with the FBI. It's like, it's a very twisted show.
By the way, big surprise coming up with Archie working for the FBI.
Yeah.
No, you'll see. Big surprise coming up.
I'm sort of wondering when they do the Sabrina the Teenage Witch thing in Netflix, what kind of crossover are they going to try?
They can't cross over because if they doing Sabrina like the book is, you can't cross that over with Archie. Because that book right there should be on a whole nother level. Those EC horror books that was out when it comes out.
You could always do crossovers with it, but tenuous crossovers. Talking about
in this town, this is what's going on.
Yeah, she's going on. Yeah. Well, you see that with the thing.
Or she travels
the
through
south
town.
side of that.
She travels through town and then leaves and goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I will be willing to imagine that S.H.I.E.L.D. is not being canceled.
Well, I like S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, well, good.
Last 2 seasons been good.
Glad to hear you like it.
I love it. Yeah, I enjoyed the first part of the season, and this part is really interesting. See, my question is, when the season's over with, are we actually going to see the Thunderbirds, or are we just hinting around the fact that Thunderbolts? I'm sorry.
They sort of.
Well, I didn't watch last night's episode. I watched the episode before that when we introduced the creepy daughter, and he brought Crusher Creel back in.
Yeah,
so, if you're going to go that route, then I'm assuming you're going to see Deathlock again too.
Yeah, he was on the last episode.
Okay, yeah,
he's back.
Because I'm like, it was sort of a given he'd be popping back up, and you might see the Ghost Rider for an episode as well. I think you kind of have to, because you're like, well, what kind of deal would Coulson make with the Ghost Rider? We have to find out what that deal is.
Yeah, well, like I said, you have to watch it because he definitely told what happened with the deal.
Okay, and that's it for media news. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back in a short moment, right after this with wrestling news. You know, folks, there really is no other store that has as many sales as Alternate Reality. Beyond our signature sale of 15% off all new comics, we also have specialized sales peppered throughout the week, month, and year. For example, did you know that every Thursday is Ladies' Day at the store? That's right, ladies. Stop by the store and you'll save 20% off all of your purchases all day long. Ladies from 8 to 80 get a 20% discount on everything all day, every Thursday, only at Alternate Reality. And we're back. What's up with CM Punk? Is he actually going to do another MMA fight? I mean, his last one ended spectacularly badly for him.
Yeah, he sucked.
That's spectacularly bad.
Yeah, he sucked.
So why is he doing it again? Or has he been practicing?
He's been practicing. Apparently his trainer says he's been getting a lot better. Dana White has a liking to CM Punk because he's under contract and he hasn't been on since he really stunk up the joint in his first match.
Well, you know why else he probably likes him? I talked about this before. Vince keeps picking up all the people Dana White's already made.
Yeah.
Vince made one that Dana picked up.
Yeah. And if he doesn't fight again, he's got a good job as a commentator, although they hired a new commentator. He's going to get his second UFC fight, we think, because UFC 225 will be the first pay-per-view in Chicago. Where does Punk live?
Chicago.
Yeah, he lives about a couple blocks away from the Rosemont Horizon. That's where he lives. He's going to be fighting some guy named Mike Jackson, who's a guy who got beaten by the guy who beat CM Punk in his first fight. But yeah, Punk will be part of it because Punk's geeked up about the fact, so he'll be. And it's Wednesday night, so I might actually go. But yeah, Punk will get a fight. And at some point, sooner or later, even though he really keeps saying he won't, he's going back to the WWE.
Yeah,
sure he is.
Yeah, you don't keep pumping his name up.
Right.
That is painfully obvious. He's coming back.
At some point, he's coming back because they all come back.
And it's like after every WrestleMania, the Monday after WrestleMania called Crazy Monday.
Yeah,
they always yelling his name out for some reason.
And and the wrestlers have to react to the fact that they're chanting his name like he's not here, he's left or something.
Well, you know what it is? It's exactly the same thing as when they go to Montreal.
Yeah.
Back in the late '90s through the 2000s, and everyone would start chanting,
"You screwed Brett!
You screwed Brett! You screwed Brett!"
And
Vince would get in there and goes, "Yeah, I might have, but we're here now, and he's not." And blah blah blah. But Stephanie and the rest of them, they do the same thing. You can keep chanting his name, but he's not coming out.
And it makes him chant even more.
Yeah, it makes him chant even more. So there you go.
Have they ever done a have that ever happened in the history of WWE where a character was being chanted? What is it going on? 4 years after he left?
No,
they didn't do that when Hogan left.
Although
Bret Hart,
what?
Bret Hart.
Yeah, people still go what?
Oh yeah, that's become part of wrestling.
Yeah, that's wrestling. Yeah. That's part of their language.
Yeah,
now. What?
The newest phrase now is the one fall. That's the new one that people just started.
Well, there's that. There's yes. There's who fill in the blank is going to kill you.
Yeah. There's Oscar's going to kill you. Started out the show is going to kill you.
There's a bunch of chants, that have just become part of the lexicon.
Yeah. Joe should be back maybe around WrestleMania. By the way,
what's wrong with him again?
He popped something in his foot.
Oh, he'll show up just to pick up a check.
Well, yeah,
he'll show up for WrestleMania money. He might not do anything.
So what he's going to do? Screw Roman and Brock?
It'll either be. Well, you know what? It may not be WrestleMania, but it could be the day after.
The Monday.
The day after is always a bunch of people showing back up.
Yeah.
And coming back.
Yeah,
so a bunch of people will be popping back. Yeah, because he is kind of missed.
Moving on, Bo.
Yes.
USA is going to lose WWE. Is there a possibility of that?
The broadcast rights.
Because Vince did this once before.
Yeah,
he moved to
Spike.
No. It was the Nashville Network when he moved. They turned it into Spike.
And it lasted about 2 years, and he got his butt back to USA as fast as he could.
Because USA goes, we really can't afford to lose you because you have to bring in a lot of ratings.
Well, not only that, but Vince wasn't very happy over at Spike either.
Well, Spike had a smaller audience base there too.
I think those people who couldn't even get the Spike channel.
Well, yeah, because it was a limited number of homes that were in it, so he had to basically build it up. TV rights for the WWE and UFC are all going to be up by the end of the year, and so everyone's wondering where all this money's coming from. USA is more than likely going to outbid everyone, but Fox is apparently going, since we're going to be doing all sports and we sold off all our media stuff, Fox and News, we will be more than willing to pay you a buttload of money, and guess what? We'll give you Monday night.
Well, you know what they're going to get? They're going to be getting a buttload of money from Disney if they sell to Disney, so they'll just take a little bit of that and give it to Vince.
Right.
And put them on all Monday night.
Said, well,
there's our Monday night programming.
Our Monday night programming, which would mean you would have to, the Monday night shows would have to go to another night, of course.
And there's what shows? They're not doing shows anymore if they sell. Disney's getting all of them. I mean, Disney could still do the shows and then sell them to Fox.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Fox is going to want to keep fourth network of original programming.
Yeah.
After the sale goes through. I mean, this gets back to the Fox sale from before, but I mean, where's their head at with this? Do they want to actually keep original programming on, or are they just looking to go 24/7 news and news and sports?
Their focus will be on news and sports. So if you got WWE, and one of the big reasons why they went to the Ronda Rousey thing has done wonders for the rights going up. Those bids they jumped up about twice. We go, wait a minute, she's more mainstream than almost anybody you have. Everyone knows who Ronda Rousey is.
Yeah,
everyone knows.
She's rowdy Ronda Rousey.
She's rowdy Rousey. And she'll be on every Raw until WrestleMania, by the way. And she's of course going to kick Stephanie's ass at WrestleMania. So.
Well, Triple H and Stephanie own the bitch now.
Yeah, it worked out quite well.
Yeah, then you just say, now we got to sign, we own the bitch. Oh.
But yeah, if this happens, then they would get Monday night, and I'm assuming they would get SmackDown on Tuesdays, or they would run SmackDown on Saturdays, and they would lose UFC.
I don't think they would run SmackDown on Saturdays. I don't think Vince would let them. What would be the point in doing the show? Nobody's going to watch.
Well, would you want to do? Well, then you'd have to pick a night during the week. So that means
Tuesday. If Fox isn't doing any original programming anymore, it doesn't matter.
I think all the shows on Tuesday, the original program, they're doing like last episodes, and that's it.
If Fox cans their original programming, I mean, hell, you can give Vince a spot 5 nights a week if you wanted to.
Oh,
hey, NXT, put it on Wednesday nights. It doesn't have to be the whole night, but put it on Wednesday.
Yeah, because when USA ran NXT, the ratings are pretty good, and you don't have to do any extra work because the show's already done. You know, they tape these shows like a month at a time.
Well, Vince has a network.
Yeah,
he already has the program.
Yeah, he's got a program. Yeah, 205 Live.
Most
people
of
are interested in.
Well, most of those programs, nobody's seen those unless you own the network.
Those 24 those documentaries that they do.
Oh,
those are all damn good.
Yeah,
those
I know. I saw a couple of them.
They're really, really good.
I saw a couple of them. They are good.
We can also mention some other WWE since we're here. Guess who was at the WWE offices? Alberto.
Oh God.
Del Rio.
I thought he was snake bit.
You both owe me $5. Pay up now.
He was there. Well, no, he wasn't. He was
Vince
there.
wants him after beating up people in a parking lot.
He was there because they're doing some kind of DVD Blu-ray collection for Rey Mysterio, who was also more likely going to come back in. Although he hurt himself this week, and he was there recording. And Vince has always liked Alberto.
Yeah.
And so
he's coming back.
If
Vince likes
nobody really ever leaves. You all end up coming back
unless you burn your bridge. Vince always will let.
Unless you burn your bridge. I mean, that's why you more than likely.
Okay, two things.
Well, look at it. Even Ultimate Warrior came back, and he really burned bridges.
Well, I know that.
Yeah, and Vince and Bruno, they didn't get along. Triple H basically.
I think Triple H is like the go-between because Triple H used to be a wrestler, so he knew the guys behind the scenes. Yeah. So now that he's running the company, he can get the guys the show back up.
I mean, who would have thought that Jeremy Borash should ever be working for the WWE? He's working for them now. He's never worked anywhere close to that. He worked over at WCW, and he worked at Impact. And all of a sudden, Matt Hardy became interesting because Borash goes, "Remember we came up with all these really cool ideas to do with the broken Matt Hardy thing? We can keep doing that stuff because we're together again." But
he's woken now.
He's woken.
And he's not broken. He's woken.
Bobby Lashley's more likely going to come back. James Storm is going to come in. A lot of guys are going, "We'd like to come in."
The one person I'm surprised on that out of all of the people you said is Rey Mysterio. And the reason why I said that is because if you remember, there was a match he was in Mexico where a wrestler got killed at.
Yeah.
And Vince stays away from stuff like that. That match is still on YouTube. It's not like when Owen Hart did the fall down there. Everybody there saw that.
I watched that. Yeah, we saw it. We
Which
watched
one?
it. When no one died. Most people don't pay attention to what's going on in Mexican wrestling, and it wasn't Mysterio's fault that the guy had a heart attack, and so he's not being blamed. And when Mysterio,
that wasn't a heart attack. That was him breaking his neck, hitting that middle rope.
Yeah, but when Mysterio popped up at the Royal Rumble, and he got that big pop, you knew it was inevitable. He was going to be coming back. They all come back.
They all come back.
So
Vince is like the Godfather. They all come back.
You were over at the store Wednesday morning. We were watching Raw from the other night. And I mentioned this. You're going to have one of the events at WrestleMania, Triple H versus Kurt Angle.
Yeah. Triple H, Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey step.
Have you taken a close look at Triple H lately? He's about half the size he was
small.
7 or 8 years ago.
He's small.
He's like Sylvester Stallone small.
Yeah, he's small.
So he's going to get in those trunks in the ring.
Yeah.
And he's going to wrestle Kurt Angle, who's still all beefed up.
Yeah.
It's going to look ridiculous.
Yeah, he's much smaller.
Yeah, I'm just looking at him, wearing his suit, and I can tell he's half the size he was 5 years ago.
5 years ago, he was like, freaking Hulk Hogan.
But remember, when he tore his tendon, his quad, he came back and he was too big.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's more or less back to the size
his neck was like the size of a Buick.
He's back to the size now where he was before he came back, where he just got overly pumped. And they all shrank. I mean, look at Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is half the size he was back then when he pops back up. But they lose weight. He's older. Look at Vince. Vince is much smaller than he's ever been.
Well, Vince is much older than he's ever been. And he's really showing it.
Yeah, Vince is much older now.
So. Okay, that's going to do it for wrestling news. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with the Rorschach test.
Damn it! I thought he was going to forget that.
Every Sunday is super at Alternate Reality with our Super Sunday Sale. Each Sunday we pick a different character, family, or publisher, and we discount all of their comics and trade paperbacks 25% off all day long. What we pick for the sale is different each week, but each Sunday you'll save 25% off. And that's all day long, all day Sunday, only at Alternate Reality. Okay, we're back. And
Wait a minute. Does he remember? Do you have one?
Yes, I have one.
Oh,
I have one. I have one.
Sometimes
yes,
he forgets.
No, I have one. I'm going to give you a name. Okay, and I want you. We're going to start with you, Bo.
Yes.
I want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear this name.
Yes.
Okay, and that name is Toys R Us.
I never shopped there.
That's not what I asked you. What's the first thing you think of?
Bankruptcy?
Oh, well, he thought of something.
Toys R Us was at... What was the other place besides Toys R Us?
Bargain Town.
No, there was Circus World. There was KB.
KB.
During the golden age of toys back in the early 90s when Todd McFarlane was getting his life going.
Toys.
Action figures. Well, no.
Guys.
But they weren't, it wasn't KB action figures.
Yeah, it was KB Toys.
KB Toys, Circus World, and Toys R Us were the three places. Circus World went under first.
Yeah, those are the places where you went to get your action figures, and you were out there before 6 o'clock on Tuesday morning to get them.
Yeah,
and everything went crazy. And most people really don't go into stores to buy action figures anymore. You get them online.
Yeah,
or you walk into a comic shop. But you get them online.
Actually, with Toys R Us going under, and as we do this, it's not official yet. But it's official.
It's close.
It's about as official as you can get without being official.
Yeah.
The patient's on life support, and the needle's just getting ready to flatline.
I got bad news.
I'm thinking I need to start actually ordering some more action figures.
You better. They in liquidation.
Well,
it was this morning.
Okay.
Well, my attitude towards action figures for the last 15 to 20 years has been, why are you here? Okay. The only thing you're looking for is the one per case variant.
Yeah.
I have to buy a case,
to
and whatever I sell you, that one per case variant ain't going to cover that case.
Right.
So no, I don't have that action figure here because what's the point in me getting it?
I mean, if you wanted to buy action figures, if I was looking for an action figure, why would I go to Toys R Us so I can go to the Target closer to my house? Yeah. They've got action figures there, or I would just order them online. Amazon sells them, for Christ's sake.
Well, that's one of the reasons Toys R Us is going out of business.
Yeah, I can get them from Amazon. I can get them from Amazon Prime. I can order them now, and they'll Monday morning. Hi, here's your stuff.
What about you, Rodney? Toys R Us. First thing you think of?
Death of my childhood.
Death of your childhood.
Death of my childhood.
Toys R Us, kids.
I remember Bargain Town too, by the way, which became Toys R Us.
Listen,
over on Cicero and 63rd.
Right. We've been making jokes earlier about how old we are, and
no, we're not.
Before this came on, we were. Now, Toys R Us for me as a kid, I remember the commercial. And I remember going to Toys R Us was an event for me going in there because I was a short little runny-nosed kid, and the toys were stacked up high as you can get to, and it was basically the best thing in the world for a kid to walk into Toys R Us and stare up there and look at all of the games stacked up to the ceiling, the racing sets, on top of it, the train sets.
A walk through Toys R Us was orgasmic. If you were a kid, you had no idea what that would mean, but it was.
No. Well, I feel sorry.
Look at that.
I feel sorry for this generation because this generation that's coming up now, you will never know the joy of actually walking in the store and just basically going bonkers over. Man, there's all sorts of toys and games here.
But you know what? You can do that at Alternate Reality.
Yes, you can. You can do it. Great segue.
Once like what was it? I forget what was that big toy? FAO Schwartz.
Yeah, FAO Schwartz.
Once they went under, I think that was the beginning.
Well, no, FAO Schwartz was sort of like Sharper Image.
They were too expensive.
It was upscale, too expensive toys for people with way too much money.
Oh no, yeah, I remember at a recent trip to my second hometown. I remember going to the FAO Schwartz and Caesar's Palace and going, why is there a 55-foot elephant in here? And who the hell buy a 55-foot stuffed elephant? And where the hell are you going to put it? But it was there.
Some sheik from Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Oh, my son wants the elephant. How much is it? $30,000. Write him a check.
I'm going to tell you my good memory of going to Toys R Us, and I will never forget to this day. The first time I actually spent some money at Toys R Us, mother and father give us money for Christmas, right? Yeah. Go buy your own stuff for Christmas. My total came to $248.45.
What the hell did you buy?
I bought a lot of stuff. Yeah. I bought a carton and a half full of stuff. I mean, it was like, basically, like I said, it was bonkers going in there, picking this out, picking that out, and walking to the thing going, you got 2 carts for? Yeah, I spent $245.40 for this. What? All that? Yeah, at Toys R Us. You youngsters will never experience anything like that.
You know what I
Let's
want
go
to know?
to the.
What's going to happen to Baby G?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to Baby
Who
G?
gets custody of Baby G?
Yeah, who gets custody of Baby G? My God, Baby G is homeless. Baby G's going to be walking the streets, rolling her own cigarettes.
He's been hanging out with a Hamburglar.
Yeah, no, Hamburglar's got a home. He's still owned by McDonald's. And
That's what I mean by
You
death
know,
of the childhood.
Those are actually intellectual properties. Somebody could actually pick those up.
Oh man,
Jeffrey, Gigi, and Baby G.
Baby G. Yeah, I remember the commercials. Come on down to Toys R Us, kids. We're having a great after Thanksgiving sale. Bam! Parking lot full of people up in there buying toys. It's gone.
You know what? I was in Toys R Us so many times. I can tell you the layout of most of the store. We walk in the door, hang a left, go all the way down to the very first aisle. Games, both sides, all the way down. Second aisle over, action figures. Okay, all the way down for most of it. I think the front half of the aisle had something else. Third aisle over was more toy stuff. Okay, you had bikes and stuff on the far end on the opposite side.
Right.
The one at Cicero, and that's still there. I don't think they've closed up yet, but they will be soon, I assume. The one on Cicero and 79th, they would have not graphic novels, but the DC Treasuries and the Marvel Treasuries. Those are in their quote-unquote book section in the back.
Right.
Beat to crap. But if,
They're here.
But if you were looking for like the limited first edition reprint of Whiz Comics #2, the first appearance of Captain Marvel, it was like buried in the back, all beat to hell. But it was down there because the stuff just stayed there forever.
Wait a minute. Where are you going to get the cotton candy now? What about the candy you used to sell?
Oh God, you can buy cotton candy at most stores.
You don't want it from that.
Oh, I haven't had cotton candy in years.
And they had the video games up front after you got around 1980, 1981, 1982. When they
You also forget about the educational toys that was on there. You know, you had your microscopes and your telescopes over there, and that's where I purchased me a good microscope. To this day, I still cherish.
And you had babies and infant toys down where the bikes were on the opposite side of the store from the games.
Right.
Yeah. Many trips I took to Toys R Us, not just when I was a little kid, but when I was in my teens and in my early 20s. You know, action figures. Same thing with me, action figures.
I didn't do any of that crap. I hung around in Barnes & Noble and B. Dalton's.
Well, did that too, but those are also gone.
And Tower Records.
You know,
and Rose Records.
That's the thing. All these things that you're mentioning, that was our world. And that world is gone.
Yeah.
That world is gone.
Which is why I say I feel so sorry for this generation coming up, because they're gonna experience.
You don't understand the concept of walking to a record store and spending an hour just walking around.
Oh God!
Just looking at everything.
Remember the underground section there at Evergreen Plaza?
Yeah.
You went all the way down to the end. You had bookstore, you had
B.
Circus
Dalton was
World,
down there.
Yeah.
You had a record store, and you had Orange Julius, and they were all lined up there. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
And you had the record store over there by Carson's.
Yeah, you go get some records. You can go get some action figures. You go buy some books, and then go home with all your haul.
Because speaking of that, because Russ Solomon died. The guy came up with Tower Records.
Yeah, that was this week. Yeah, he was watching the Oscars at home, and he passed away during the Oscars. Drinking shots of whiskey.
Probably passed away during the singing.
Hey, the performances weren't that bad. I actually paid attention to I didn't know any of the songs. I'm like, performances. What the hell?
Okay, folks, and that's it. We're done. We're finished. We're out of here. We got no more news for this time around, but go to the store's website, myalternatereality.com, where you'll find all the news that Bocepheus sends me to post up there every single day. You'll also find JR's reviews, Vito Carly's reviews, and, of course, shipping and a couple other things on the store's website, so be sure to stop off there. And until next time, this is Comic Book Man.
This is Ron Flash saying goodbye to Toys R Us.
This is Bo saying, Toys R Us, whatever.
Oh,
you know what I remember? No.
Grinch!
You know what I remember about Kate?
No kidding.
Grinch!
My greatest memory about KB Toys is he and I were walking around in a Christmas time, some kid was in there thrown up on the floor.
When was that?
This is in Ford City, the one in Ford City.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah. The kid was ralphing on the floor looking for toys. God. That in those narrow-ass aisles.
I'm going to miss the smell of Toys R Us, too.
Just like the bookstores. They all had their own unique smell. Okay, until next time, folks. Bye! Thanks a lot for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please like and share it with all your friends. We value your feedback, so drop us a question, comment, show idea, or complaint either at arcomics@msn.com or, if provided, in the comments section down below on this platform. If Opinions expressed in this episode are solely those of the individuals and not necessarily those of Alternate Reality Incorporated. This show is, as always, coming to you from the Alternate Reality Comic Shop, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood at the intersection of 111th and Kedzie, serving Chicago comics fandom since 1994.
Elvis has left the building.